saving 34 minutes at FAR by opening up this traffic lanes. That is a substantial improvement in the economic activity and the well-being. What really gets us excited as well at the NAD Bank are the environmental benefits. In the first year of operation alone, we think that reduction in wait time is going to save over 19,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere and 15 metric tons of diesel particulate matter that just comes up and can be a risk to health for the local communities who have to live around this. So we really think this is a win-win solution for a sustainable, greener economy that the Puerto region has to meet the challenges going forward. And I know today's a day of celebration. We are happy to be here, as I said, to be part of it, but there's more to be done, and at NAD Bank we're committed to doing more of that. There's a lot of investment we have to do on the other side, and we're working with the Secretaría de Infraestructura y Comunicaciones y Transportes, Secretaría de Administración Tributaria, our partners here at the McAllen Bridge Authority, to finish out the design and scoping of the corresponding investments that need to be made on the other side. So we really optimize and maximize the trade relationship and the binational relationship for the benefit of Texas, Tamaulipas, the United States, and Mexico. And thank you very much for your time. Look forward to it. Oh, I have it highlighted here, but I almost missed it. I have to recognize the support of Senator Cornyn, Congressman Henry Cuellar, both for this project as well as the NAD Bank. I also want to recognize the instrumental work that's already been cited of State Representative Hinojosa and Terry Canales, Bobby Guerra, and Sergio Nunez. Thanks a lot for your support of this project. Thanks for your support for the bank. Pleasure to meet you all. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. That concludes the speakers. And what we're going to be asking next is if you have a shovel, one of these, we're going to be asking you to please join us at the shovel ceremony. And for the rest, we have, if you could still stay here with us, we're going to have lunch available after the ceremony. So, están en su casa.
Hi, I'm Rodolfo Rudy Castillo, your McAllen District 4 Commissioner. In 2022, we all felt the power of McAllen's events to raise our quality of life. McAllen families saw America's largest illuminated digital Christmas tree unveiled at the 2022 South Pole Illuminated Festival. This tree was like no other in the United States, standing 118 feet tall. The tree was an immersive experience of the holiday season. The lighting design used state-of-the-art pixel mapping technology that created a unique canvas for the light show of Texas with dynamic magical light and music. This momentous tree was a powerful new addition to McAllen's holiday programming, including our internationally acclaimed McAllen Holiday Parade with over 32 giant balloons, celebrity guests, a sold-out Welta Zone, and the brand-new McAllen International Airport Skybox fan experience, an extension of our partnership with the Dallas Cowboys. This past Christmas, our parade was broadcast on TV throughout the holiday season in 31 nationwide markets. In 2022, the holidays were bigger, brighter, and the most powerful season yet. Thank you. Now, Mayor Villalobos has more momentous news about our city's 2022.
Hello, I'm Xochitl Mora with the City of McAllen. Welcome to your McAllen Minutes. If you missed the McAllen City Commission meeting of February 27th, don't worry. Here's a brief recap of what was discussed. McAllen Mayor Javier Villalobos called the McAllen City Commission meeting to order, and after the Pledge of Allegiance, District 3 Commissioner Omar Quintanilla gave the invocation. Commissioners began the meeting with a recognition of the Texas Amateur Athletic Federation Region 2 State Male Athlete of the Year, Aiden Granados. The recognition, led by Parks and Recreation Director Denny Moline and his team, highlighted the accomplishments of Granados over the years as a member of the Parks and Recreation Team McAllen track team since the age of 8 years old. At this year's TAF State Games, Aiden brought home the state championship in both the 3,200 meter and 1,600 meter races. After competing and winning against runners from across the state, Aiden Castellanos was nominated and selected by his peers by unanimous vote as the Taft Region. And now, a workshop of the McAllen City Commission. All workshops are open to the public in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. These workshops allow for detailed staff presentations.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's workshop. And I think it should hopefully be pretty quick. Okay, let's see. Any questions to the staff regarding the meeting?
Very quick, like the item on the roundabout on 33rd and Oxford, I just want to know if it's going to be the same, similar size or dimension as the one on Main and Auburn. That's it.
Okay, anything else? If not, item number 2.
Mayor and Commissioners, we've got a discussion on Graffiti Art Park. It's been a little while since this was requested by the City Commission, so we've got a brief presentation on information that we have, things that we already do, and see what kind of direction you want to give us on this. We've got Denny and probably have some discussion with the police chief if he'd like to come up. Denny? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, Mayor. So I'm here today to present on the graffiti wall project in parks. And so as Roy mentioned, I just wanted to share with you first what the city of McAllen is doing, what we've already got around the city. And then we'll go into what other city parks are doing, benefits and disadvantages, partnerships, and then potential programming if it's approved to move forward with this. So here you can see, and you can read in your packet, that we do have a city ordinance relating to damaging, defacing, or littering public or school property. Won't go into that too much, but basically it's unlawful here in the city of McAllen to deface any property here within the city limits. So currently what we have here are some standpipes that Keep McAllen Beautiful started, I wanted to say, back in 2019. You can see this all around City of McAllen on the irrigation districts, and so these are just some of the sample standpipes that they're currently doing. And again, this is with Keep McAllen Beautiful project that they started. Here you can see some of the graffiti that's in and around our city on businesses. And so these are just some samples or examples of the graffiti art that you may see around driving in our city. And then these are some of the murals that we do currently have on city buildings. You can also, we didn't put up here, but the ones that you see at Boys and Girls Club, they're off of Galveston with the honoring of the police officers. That's another example of a mural that's posted up here in the city. So we do have these different types of arts on our buildings.
Okay, if you could go back to the others. So this you call it graffiti, and is this with the permission of the owners of the building?
Correct, yes, sir. And most times it is permission from the owners. And in other cities, what they're doing, instead of repainting over there's different types of graffitis, and we'll get into that. They'll invite artists to come and do this type of graffiti over the existing inappropriate graffiti that you might see with gang-related signs or...
And for my just lack of knowledge, okay, or insights into what those are trying to portray or say or whatever, I guess these are not, conforming to our ordinances?
These are, because it's through the private property or the organizations that are doing this, that are saying, hey, yes, come out here. Based on what I've read, I don't know if Chief has something else to say about that.
So the difference there is that it's not a public.
Yeah, it's a private, that's why I asked the question, if it's with permission of the landowners.
Yes, and I would also say that when we talk about graffiti, I mean, maybe it's graffiti. This is art in the view of some, and it's not in a public building, therefore not graffiti. I just wanted to.
Okay, so this you're saying is permissible?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, that's good. I thought you're explaining, okay, that's fine.
So we go to this next slide, and these are examples of other graffiti art in other cities. And so you can see Colleen there. That's probably the more typical graffiti that you see in our city, in our parks, which you would consider probably like vandalism. That's what we see typically at our restrooms in our parks, the Colleen type of graffiti there. This is on their skate parks. And so other cities where they're seeing most of the vandalism is at their skate parks, right? And so they're trying to build the walls here so that way residents or those graffiti taggers that go out to the parks have a safe place to do their artwork without getting in trouble from law enforcement. Austin, you can see what Austin is doing there. Texarkana is actually doing art on their sidewalks leading up to their lake. This is what they've been doing. And then again, Houston there on one of their facilities. So like I mentioned, there are 4 different types of graffiti. There's tagging, satanic, hate, gang, and generic. These are some of the benefits. They create an interest and connection to the city, helps discourage unwanted graffiti or tagging, provides for a deeper connection to the community, attracts art-minded individuals, it enriches the community, self-expressions for artists, and then it promotes tourism. Some of the disadvantages of doing this would be doorway for increasing graffiti in public and secluded areas, maintenance and longevity expenses, gang affiliations, property depreciation, human resources necessary for proper maintenance and oversights of location, programming expenses, curriculum design and location for programming, and suitable locations. If it was well, here are some possible partnerships that we could look at in doing some of these projects is, to partner with Keep McAllen Beautiful since they already have something in line with this. UTRGV, South Texas College, MISD, of course the Parks and Rec programming, McAllen Chamber of Commerce, we could look into with the Creative Incubator, and then of course partnering with McAllen PD. Any questions on that?
Just a comment.
Yes, sir.
You put as a benefit that it would promote tourism. I would think it'd do the opposite of promoting tourism. Probably even decrease property values, I would think. Just having a wall or areas in town where graffiti art is allowed. I don't see really the benefits of this, other than allowing some individuals to use their artistic talent in certain areas. But yeah, I just don't see it.
Well,
I don't see the benefit.
It all depends, Commissioner, because if you're talking about the killing type of graffiti, then I agree with you. But if you go more deep into the Houston, Texarkana, or Austin, it might be some kind of a landmark for.
So who are we to say, well, that graffiti is allowed
and just take pictures and
yeah.
like
We're not
in different. It's public art.
All I'm saying is
well.
we're not going to
regulate
regulate
the one that you're talking about.
What artwork is acceptable and what graffiti art is not acceptable. It's just we just.
That's what I'm saying.
The idea of a graffiti park, right? One is it's in FAR, so I don't know if we've reached out to FAR to see if they have problems with it. But this stemmed because local artists have said, hey, FAR has one. They're popping up in bigger cities. Would you guys entertain it, right? So I said, yeah, put it on the agenda. Similar to what you have said is that we're not there to judge it, but I think a lot of creatives or artists throughout the city or in a marketplace want a place where they can do a free-form art, not a standalone mural, not a single themed standpipe, right? They want to be able to just kind of go and have a site where they can, it kind of organically builds itself, right? To some extent, it is up to self-regulation, right? Because we have to, the artistic community kind of dictates what happens. We obviously go out, PD makes sure that there's not any kind of gang affiliation or
Right.
rising to any kind of,
We could do that, or we could come back and put those stipulations amongst
Yeah.
the artists.
and so the idea for me is,
Be dangerous.
I don't know if we have a site today that would be suitable or amicable for it, but I think we need to keep it top of mind so that the place like in Austin is a huge tourist attraction. People drive to Austin and go to it.
Castle Hills.
There's one in LA. I know there's a huge one in Brooklyn that got knocked down for a development, and it was like an uproar, right? Because it's been there since the 70s, right? And it was a major tourist attraction. So I see the benefit of it. I think it does have to be to some extent. You see a lot of these sites in bigger cities are usually, you know, kind of older industrial areas, or like you said, a skate park that's tucked away. You know, because sometimes it might not be as appealing to the eye. Pieces of it could be a little bit of an eyesore, a little bit mixed in, right? But there is an artistic community out there. It's good that they're able to express themselves. And I think if we ever find a site that is suitable, or we build at some point, right, somewhere maybe off a canal, somewhere that fits, I think we should blend it in. That's the way I feel. I don't think we go figure out where today, but I think we keep it top of mind for parks.
Dialogue, I don't see why not, but it'd be hard to replicate something like from Austin that has been successful here.
The artists do it.
Because we've seen the negativity that graffiti can bring, especially between the people that are putting their graffiti, and typically are gang related, you know, and so I'm sure it's not the only case, right? But and maybe there's people from outside of McAllen that would come and, you know, want to portray their artwork here as well. It just gets a little complicated. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it can be something like what we do with the pipes. They say what they want to do. They give us a sketch of what they're proposing, and then it can be decided by the committee.
Very risky.
One goes ahead and not, so the pipes were risky too? No.
The pipes aren't risky because
decide which art is going and which art is not going.
I think the
And they
pipes
cannot be
is,
close-minded about that. They just go ahead and try to check.
That's right. Thank you. Sorry
for interrupting.
I think the pipes are managed by Keep McAllen Beautiful, which, you know, we know it's regulated, right? This is not. We're talking about two different things, but nonetheless,
They're very different.
Something to talk about.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But we're talking about partnerships, including Keep McAllen Beautiful.
The only concern I would have is on the disadvantages that it might proliferate additional unwanted graffiti, and specifically how the tagging part is where I would be concerned, because to me, art is in the eye of the beholder, right? Well, maybe art to you is graffiti to me, and trust me, from my background, almost everything looks like graffiti to me illegally, right? And I guess that the chief would kind of somewhat share my same feeling. But I really do think that as a city, as we continue to mature and evolve into being a more sophisticated city, we should allow and create opportunities or locations for freeform art. With that, I'm all for it. And I mean, not necessarily as an economic tourism kind of deal, but just as an expression of who we are as a community, who we are as a city, who we are as a citizen, who we are as a culture, right? And I think that's the best way to project that to outsiders who come by and visit. If we can do it in a very tactful, in a very, I guess, I don't want to say controlled, that's not the word, but, you know, kind of give it some parameters in terms of how it's done, and done very tactfully. That's all I have to say.
And what do you need from us?
Well, I just wanted to present the information to you, and, you know, have a discussion on that, and then just find a direction that you guys want to head in.
Yeah, this was something that was requested by the commission, so.
Well, has the community been asking, like, hey, we want something like a graffiti board or something, or is it something that we came up with?
No, it was something that the commissioner requested we.
I had members of the community bring it to me, so I brought it to the commission. Probably a small subset, but, you know.
Well, I'm leaning towards what you all, a mixture of what both of you all discussed, to have something in an area that's designated, and for that, and, you know, you add that creativity, and there's people that want to see that, and once we if something goes, one way or another, then we could, enforce it in a certain way that it's not portraying something that is gang-related or violence-related or anything like that. But creativity is a part of the future, and I think a controlled, creative area is appropriate for a city of our area, of our size.
Okay, so we'll take that information back, and we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay. No, thank you so much. Next item.
Next item is we're bringing back the discussion on the tennis and aquatics complex.
So, Mayor, Commissioners, so we're bringing back the discussion here on the tennis aquatics. Last time that we met, I believe back in January, was to move forward with a tennis center. And so we just wanted to show you what it could look like based off of some of the direction that we got last time. And so proposed facility layout, the amenities would include a swimming pool, Olympic-sized swimming pool, 16 tennis courts, 6 pickleball courts, a multi-purpose field, a dog park, a track and walking trail, and a splash pad. So here you can see the first picture here that we're showing an Olympic-sized lap swim pool, which is a 50 by 25 meter heated pool with lap lanes and diving boards, wading pool, bathhouse, seating and shade structure, and then the cost estimate, as you can see there. And we're probably looking around about 20 to 25 acres of land to host this type of complex. Just keep that in mind. 16 tennis courts, which I previously depicted in the last meeting we had. 6 pickleball courts, shade structure, seating, restroom, office, and pro shop. And the cost estimate there. This would be a multi-purpose field. It wouldn't be synthetic turf. It would just be natural grass, which would have some gold, shade structures, and seating. 60,000.
Could you
yes,
get
sir.
us what it would cost for a synthetic turf also?
Yes, sir. Synthetic turf.
In the future.
For this dimension, you're probably looking at close to 800, 850. Okay.
Just study it. Okay.
What do we got here? This one is the dog park, a 60,200 square foot park with obstacles, dog waste station, and water fountains. 6,680 square foot splash pad with water feature amenities and shade structures. And the complex infrastructure, which will include schematic designs, general conditions, utilities, lighting, fencing, parking, 20% contingency, and a trail system, and estimated cost there. Now, taking into consideration that, again, this does not include the land acquisition or maintenance cost to support this complex.
And parking capability? What would be an approximate parking?
Here, we were looking at, let me grab that real quick. Parking. Thought we would have it on here. We were looking at 500 spots.
So we would need 25 acres for the complex?
Yes, sir.
How many acres do we have there at the Ware Road Parks?
Ware Road, just in, the parks would be about 20 acres, the park itself, and then including the admin building will probably be about another 5.
Oh, so the admin building is only 5?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's separate then from the park.
Be usable.
So the multi-purpose park that runs, or the multi-purpose fields on the south side that runs up north, that would include the softball fields, the park, and the trail system there. That's probably about 20 plus acres there.
So this
Yes,
is
sir.
20 acres for the actual facility, but parking would be how much more additional acres?
It would be 500 spots that we were looking at. That would be included into this 25 acre
okay,
property.
that's inclusive.
Correct, yes, sir.
And this is one version. I mean, you could
Yes, sir.
tell us, do more tennis courts or less tennis courts or a bigger pool or a smaller pool. I mean, this is one version of what it might look like.
And the schematic layout here could be also changed depending on the layout of the land as well. And so we could go back and figure out if it was more of a north-south rectangle, how we could fit those amenities, those pieces into that. But yeah, we're looking about 20 to 25 acres.
Generally speaking, can you tell us what the annual maintenance would be between our and?
I would have to go back and get that for you, sir. And I can do that.
I mean, obviously, that shouldn't be outcome determinative whether or not we proceed, but at least we have an idea where we're going into.
But what about splitting the areas in the front? If people go play tennis, they're not gonna go swimming. They're not gonna go play. If you're looking at 25 acres, to have everything together, it's probably easier to find 10 and 5 and different things. And it's also easier for the people to go to different areas.
Let's spread out.
Something we could consider.
Good idea.
I remember, I think, when original discussions, and I probably pushed Denny on it a little bit. I like the idea of a kind of a master park, right? A place that was always busy with something happening, or you could go play tennis while other family was at the dog park. Kind of an all-in-one inclusive place, right? It's just really nice to have, people could be running the trail. It's nice to be able to see activity while you're running a trail, right? It also makes it safer. You have everyone, and I think to some extent on parks, what do we have, 200 parks in the city? I know this is very large, but maintenance costs go up the more split up you have, right?
Right.
Sometimes surprisingly, it's a little easier when you have it all together. They could set up a big kind of, for something of this size, I would expect a parks building where y'all would keep a lot of supplies, kind of be able to maintain the grounds from there alone, right? You don't have to take trailers.
Correct, yeah, we
You don't have to
would
do all
put
that.
a maintenance shed
Yeah,
on
maintenance shed,
location.
exactly.
Just food for thought, because I don't see how there maybe have since we're kind of on the trend of inclusive playgrounds, because this type of facility seems like it's a family facility for all, so maybe like an inclusive play system as well. Maybe like what we've done at Conchas Elementary or down here in Los Encinos.
Well, and I believe we were going to, in any new park, we were going to
Add pieces on.
keep that in mind.
Correct.
So, yes.
Also probably entertain on the swimming pool investment, maybe talk to some partners and try to do a natatorium. We're gonna invest this, I mean, maybe go a little bit more and then find ISD to partner up with us. Maybe somebody else and then do some. I'll hold meets. More than 30 years old, which is.
Is that something we should pursue?
I love the direction as a whole. I mean, I think it's a great.
Well, I mean, the natatorium maybe with MISD or UTRGV. There's been some discussion about that already.
I think that'd be very interesting, but I don't know whether that'd be proper in this type of setting.
Yeah.
No, not in this center. I'm talking about maybe take this pool out and that money that is probably allocated.
I think sometimes with pool facilities, obviously we have an older pool facility. Most of our tennis courts are shared with ISD. Access becomes a big question, right?
Right.
So the idea for a fully operated city facility was, we regain access for our citizens.
Correct. Let's try it both ways. Let's see what we can entertain.
What's the length of the pool at Municipal? Those are your yards, right?
Yeah, we're looking at 25, I think it's a 25-meter pool
What's it? So the
at Muni,
Muni is a 25-meter pool.
25. So they would have to do it twice, lengthwise.
Right, okay.
One other option for the pool, instead of a natatorium, something similar to what Mission has on that Banworth Park. It's more of a enclosed.
Like a pavilion
pool.
with a
pavilion
doors.
with I don't know if you've seen it.
We've seen samples.
It's like under a pavilion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen samples.
Closed.
FAR has those with the pavilion over the top.
It's closed, but it's not,
Like open air
an auditorium, saves money, and it's definitely an upgrade from what an open pool would be, but something to consider as far as pricing,
Anything else? We're off to the next one.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do number 5 since Denny's got control here.
Okay, Mayor, Commissioners, the next presentation here is going to be on the right-of-way trails update, and so we'll get started on that. So current bike and hike trails that we currently have is, the Benson Bicentennial 2nd Street hike and bike trails, right? And so Benson is about a mile. Bicentennial, we have about 6.5 miles, and then 2nd Street, we have about 7.5 miles there. So looking to see what we could do further to help with our trail systems. We're going to try to see if we could loop it back in from Benson to 2nd Street. So one of the projects here would be an underground box and partnering with engineering there. So this would go from 10th to 2nd, where I believe engineering is already constructing their trail, the connections at Auburn. So this would be an underground box to go underneath 2nd Street, so that way residents can have access to go under 2nd Street. Is that correct, Eduardo? Okay. And so residents then can use the east of McCall and then get west to 10th Street from here, from this location. So this is near Wisconsin on 2nd Street. There's a drainage, and then they would go ahead and implement a box. So that way they can go underneath instead of crossing over on 2nd. So that's one possible option. Another one here that, yes, sir.
Just stay on.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm just trying to.
Okay, so the second one here would be located at East Dallas. It would be a half-mile connection to South J Street. And so if you look inside the blue box area there, we would be following the drainage canal to connect from East Business to the expressway. And here you have the Amigos del Valle, you have a daycare, you have several apartment complexes and residents there that could really utilize this trail here to get in between. It's expanding with construction, and so some of the concerns we got there was safety for those that live there and walking.
Anything under is, the concern would be safety.
Yes, sir.
Anywhere.
Correct.
So what is, how do you control that? How do you provide?
We got to make sure that it makes sense, right? The areas that we are looking to add a trail for connectivity. And so it's just another option that we're just going to put on here. But again, yes, sir, it's all about the safety for these residents and walkers.
I'd love for it to happen. I just, concern of safety and the length of it at times.
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
Another option here would be
have to show it to me.
extending Benson south toward Westside Park. And so, as you know, the trail stops a little bit after Vine. And the parking node, you do have sidewalk that continues down Benson, but we would come across the county drainage. There you see in the blue line, down into the McAllen Nature Center. And so, again, with the possibility of expanding the trail system and partner with engineering, there's a possibility here expanding the trail into Nature Center, down into the Westside Park area, and then across into Convention Center. Another possibility is to increase the walking trail north on Benson. As you know, the trail on Benson ends on Nolana. That will get you over to Garcia Park. But then there's an opportunity, again, using the drainage canal to extend that north to Buddy Owens. And so you could have access to Buddy Owens, those that are commuting on there, to come shoot down on that canal into Garcia Park and then onto the Benson main trail. So that's another option that we could take a look at. This one here, these next two slides are going to be on Ware Road. We have identified on Ware Road, on the east side, there is enough city right-of-way to where we can expand from frontage all the way down to Military Drive. We can do that in phases. What's good about this one is that it will tie into the Hidalgo County Precinct 2 trail. They're on Balboa Ditch and then going out west to the Mission Inlet. And then the other option would be on the west side of Ware Road. We did identify those children that are attending Brown Middle School, going back down south to their apartments or homes. There is no walkway, and so that would be an option to increase that trail system on the west side as well, which will then connect you to the Precinct 2 hike and bike trail going east and west. So those were some of the different options that we...
On the east side, or which would be the west side, on the east side of Ware Road, or the west side of the golf course, there's not an existing sidewalk there?
No, sir. Along the open land that we've got there now, the golf course, or the disc golf, there's currently nothing there. There is a bridge there that connects, but, we've heard stories of, kids in rain would walk home and, instead of crossing over to the east side to walk home, they would just stay on that west side because it was closer to their home. So that was an option that we have been looking at, and we have been looking at as a possibility to connect. I know we don't have anything on Ware Road.
I think that is an important connection there.
Yes, sir.
Did y'all you do any assessment of maybe ranking them? Impact? Like, I don't know which ones maybe get used the most, which ones would create the most connectivity?
So, yes, this one here on Ware Road coming from Military all the way up to frontage with all the housing there, that one I would probably rank 1 since the Mission or the Precinct 2 trail is coming from 2nd Street, or from FAR to 2nd along the Balboa Ditch, and then going all the way to west to the Mission Inlets. I think that would be a huge connection for us, and so I would rank that as probably priority number 1. And if you're looking to do it on the east side, depending on the funding, maybe we do that in phases, and so that way we get connectivity on that south side, because we already have Benson, Bicentennial, and 2nd Street.
Okay, and then the one on, since we'll be doing a lot of improvements on Morris and Perez, and then we're going to have Edinburgh also connecting to us, where are we in that connectivity? That one.
Oh. So this one, yes, we'll continue from Auburn, Eduardo, Auburn to 10th, then 10th over to
It starts from Morris and it'll head
east.
on towards 2nd Street.
Right.
And on 2nd Street, it uses the hike and bike trail from the south. And then on Wisconsin, it heads again, Jackson Road, and then from there, Edinburgh takes over.
And I know Edinburgh, has expressed to me that some of the councilmen that they are right now in the verge of coming up with their system along with our system. So where are we with them?
I haven't heard about that project.
So that project is currently being, we're the lead on that project.
Okay.
We look to have 90% this week, and we look to late July, early August.
They expressed to me that they were very close with us to do that. Okay, so it is hopefully this week, and then.
So we'll be at 90%
Okay.
this week, and then we're looking to late July or early August.
All of it to connect to Edinburgh?
Yes, sir. Both trails.
Both trails.
We're managing that contract.
Very good.
So again, those are just some of the options that our team came up with to see where we could put a trail, and so just looking for direction from you guys to see where we go ahead and get started and put some numbers to it.
I like the Benson extension going north and south, that would be great. Especially that the Benson Trail is only a mile as compared to Bicentennial and Second being a lot longer. And so this would help to extend Benson a bit, going north to Buddy Owens and south beyond Business 83. I think that would be great.
Yeah, especially you have a Boys and Girls Club there, and you have all of the fields, soccer fields and everything else there, so, yeah, that's an important connectivity.
Well, we'll bring some options with, like we said, some priorities. That's definitely a good one. And because this is a financially constrained project. It's money that you've already set aside, so we'll work it back with the money we've got, and then give you a priority list. All right?
Thank you.
Next item.
The last item is the raised median. Raised median pavers and landscaping on Ware Road, 107 to Monte Cristo.
But we had already done this one.
No, you actually asked us to look at some, we did do it, you're right. But you looked at some options because of the price increase that TxDOT came back to us with. And we were not recommending that we do what they were asking us to do. Went up to about $2 million, so we're coming back to report on that.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commission. We'd like to bring this back to y'all. So earlier, about a month ago, we brought the item that there was cost escalation, and we went from about $1 million to about $1.9 million on an estimate of what our contribution for the landscape median would be. We received several questions from Commission as to whether TxDOT would look at other alternatives, if they would look at letting us reduce landscaping and paving, if they would let us reduce landscaping. They did say they were willing to entertain all those options. So if we go through, I have a quick slide. The first proposal is a concrete median at no cost to the city. That's already guaranteed with the project. So the next step at the time when we had brought this previously was a colored concrete. And at that time, Commission had said that fades, that's not a good option. That price previously was $109,000. We think somewhere roughly that price would probably still remain for this project. The other option we had brought forward was paved median, or just pavers, sorry. That is still an option. TxDOT said they would entertain that and pull out the landscaping if we wanted. But they would redo the cost estimate. We believe that'll be above the 559, their original estimate, but obviously it should be less than the 1.9 that they're currently quoting us. The other option that we think was a consideration is the paved median with landscaping, but reducing that, if you allow us to direct staff to work with TxDOT to reduce that landscaping, maybe just consolidate it to certain nodes and then do more brick pavers, or add more concrete and less brick pavers, just to kind of make it seem at least some semblance of a landscape paver median. And so we wanted to get, those are the options. The most costly would be just go as it is, and we'd pay the 1.9 if we budget that in October. And then we would also be, what I'd like to also say is that we would also be responsible for the overruns, should there be any overruns at the time of bid.
What was the initial cost on this?
It was a little over $1 million, like $1,060,000 more or less, I believe. 1.1.
And is anything, does this by any chance qualifies to be in any part of the TERS there in that area? And why? I know, no, as in it's been looked at, or no?
Yeah, I mean, the TERS is very specific. It's the boundary of Tres Lagos. So this is not included.
No, they're talking about doing other things outside the boundary of Tres Lagos with TERS.
Who is?
there's been an approach to the PUB.
We're not familiar with any of that.
That's why I'm saying, why don't you look into possibly that? And again, this is, I don't know, I'm just saying, could it be part of a tourist?
Well, okay, we'll look at it. I
Okay.
mean, it'll be difficult because, I mean, the TERS was put together to help us build Tres Lagos. And
Well,
so-
but I mean, the optic fiber infrastructure and all that is not limited to Tres Lagos.
Right,
It
but
was used by others.
But it was to be used by the citizens that live in Tres Lagos.
That's being used by the citizens of Tres Lagos.
Well, every street is.
I know every
Every
street is.
street.
Well, and so is the optic, line.
We'll look at it.
Look at it.
What about the concrete, the color concrete median? I know you mentioned that there was some talk about it fading, but what's the expected useful life of the
concrete
color
fades
concrete?
and it looks horrible, like quickly. Like if you see some other areas, it looks dirty and I mean, this is the north side of McAllen, this is a new area. Unfortunately, I think that kind of like what happened with our transportation facility, with our sports facility, everything went up. And I can't say it almost doubled, but it went up quite a bit. But at the very end, this is our newer part of town. Got to do what we got to do.
Pretty heavy cost.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much, what I would call foot traffic is going to be walking up and down Center Ware Road. Almost leaning towards just
Now they don't walk.
the no-cost concrete, and use the money elsewhere.
Yeah, me too.
It looks horrible.
Honestly, in my eyes,
We have that in
okay,
29th,
if
right?
you answer that question to me, I can make a decision. I don't think I can make a decision right now without knowing if by any chance we could get reimbursed by TERS within 10 years, 5 to 10 years. It's a good investment if we have the capability of being reimbursed some or all of it. And if we can't, well, then we have to make that decision. But
So it's kind of staggered, every quarter mile or every half a mile, as opposed to what you're seeing on the picture, that last picture where it shows a median with the landscaping, where you kind of just centralize it into one space and then have the pavers around it, and then the rest just be, you can, I guess, color it, but preferably just leave it bare. And then that way you're spacing it out or staggering it every quarter mile or half a mile with maybe about, 40, 50 feet width of landscaping. Then you go another eighth of a mile, whatever, a quarter of a mile, and then you get another
Concrete.
little node. I mean, it all depends also if there's going to be future intersections. We got to plan for that. I wouldn't want to put landscaping in a place or location where you're going to have a controlled intersection at some point either. Hopefully that might reduce the overall cost of the project. But I agree, if we're going to have a first-class city, we got to make the appearance that we're a first-class city. And I don't think color paint is going to cut it. And certainly, leaving it bare is not going to cut it either, at least for me.
The only thing I will say is that this project does have time, but at some point in the next month or
we
so,
have to make a decision.
we'd probably have to make a decision because they are designing and they have to move forward with their plans.
No, we're not holding them up.
At this point, we're not.
Okay.
That's why they've allowed us to come back, but I did tell them I was going to bring it last month. We've already postponed. There's been a lot of workshop items, so we pushed out of this month. The time just continues tracking.
It's tied to an AFA, right? The Advanced Funding Agreement with TxDOT that takes forever to amend. So I think it would be beneficial to us to hear from each one of you what you think, so we know what to bring back as an action item.
For me, it's very simple. We are a first-class city, we are McAllen, and we should have the best.
I mean, I think we all agree we're a first-class city, so I don't want to sound.
Second class.
But, yeah, but we speak of a lot of big projects. I'm not sure if I see on this stretch of road the big benefit of how much it's going to beautify it to spend $2 million plus. I'm for the no-cost option on this piece.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't agree that exactly that this will benefit that much in, there's a lot of open space on both sides. There's a lot of greenery. There's a lot of new entrances into the subdivisions, okay? I think that we could spend some money in it, but not, I don't believe to the tune of $2 million. And this is at 1.9 whatever today, and by the time 2 years from now, and we have to have all the over the cost overruns, it'll be more than that. Okay, so, but I truly believe that we need to look at the other options of how it could be funded, and if the TERS option is there, it'll be an easier thing
I'm
to be done.
almost certain that it's not.
But we'll see.
We're gonna
We'll
find out.
see.
99% certain that it's not.
I like my 1%, okay? Just tell me, and honestly, look at what the options at PUB is doing.
Okay.
With the church. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And get a ruling, an unbiased ruling.
Well,
legal ruling.
and I'll tell you what I'm thinking, so that, I don't want to sound evasive. So the TERS, every TERS is bound by its business plan.
Correct.
Right? And so when we initiate the TERS, sometimes we've got a little bit of cushion at the end. I know that this one doesn't, because we've met with them in order to try to add projects to the TERS, and we've been unable to do it. That's why I'm pretty sure, but we will look at it, and we'll show you the report.
I'll be ready in a couple of weeks to make a decision.
I think I already spoke on this one, but no cost or low cost, so, maybe up to that amount, 500,000 or something, but.
I kind of like the idea that JJ brought up. We can go ahead and have, the concrete itself and then go by sections and beautify certain sections, and that's going to make a better roadway. I mean, it's for the future. It's going to happen anyways, so might as well invest into it. Probably not like the picture, not all the way, but in sections, it might be doable and feasible economically as well.
Well, let me ask you this, once the concrete's laid at some future date, and I know this, the median still belongs to TechStop, correct? But we would be responsible for the pavers and maintenance and landscaping, right?
For the landscaping maintenance, yes.
All right. At some future date, would TechStop, let's say in 5-8 years, allow us to break concrete and add pavers, budget allowing?
I think so. What you do is you enter into some type of agreement with them, and
Could we do that now, so that maybe in the future, where depending on our budget?
I don't think they would sign like a post-dated, but they do have mechanisms for that.
For that, okay. I mean, doesn't have to be done all.
So I'll tell you one thing, we have 1.1 budgeted right now for this project.
Right.
It's just that it's coming in over budget.
And that's why we came back, because it almost doubled, right? So,
You heard my position, I know how I feel about it. So.
anyone else? Rudy?
I think I like JG and Pepe's idea too. Some parts of it with green, and some parts of it, blue. But one of the things is I see it on the bridges. They're all done with pavers, and they're like black. They're not a regular color anymore. So I don't know if that because so much traffic, or I don't think you could see them there on Ware Road and an expressway. You could go there and you can see the one on South 23rd on Military, and I don't know, I guess TechStop never goes power wash or anything, but they're just black.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the things we're gonna have to see for these pavers. 5 years from now, then we're gonna start washing them.
Well, can you imagine what it's gonna look like when it's bare concrete? Because you get all that soot and grime on there.
It's gonna be.
I
think with the landscape, what happens is the city goes and maintains, so they do blow off. The city's the one kind of blowing off the debris and keeping that
Yeah,
clean.
because I know with pavers, you're gonna have to use sand.
Yes, sir.
Hey, one final question for me, Eduardo, that we haven't talked about. For the landscaping, is it irrigated?
We have to provide water, and that comes at our cost as well.
Okay, so maybe we look at for the purposes of doing it in phases, of putting the irrigation there, if we're gonna get that ready for the future.
The cost will be more in the future.
It doesn't last.
Well, at least
Does it last?
the,
Does it last?
the sleeves to be able to do it, so you don't have to
Okay.
dig it up.
The sleeve.
Right. Otherwise, you have to break concrete all the way
Yeah.
through it again.
Oh, yeah. Without
Okay.
a doubt, you gotta throw some sleeves.
All right.
Well, I don't think we'll have time for executive. We have 7 people in public comment. So, you guys
Go
ready?
ahead and,
Thank you.
close this meeting.
Okay. We'll go ahead and close this workshop.
This concludes the workshop of the McAllen City Commission. Workshops are held every second and fourth Monday of the month, convening at 4 p.m. at the McAllen City Commission chamber on the 3rd floor at McAllen City Hall.
5 native species are planted here today.
McAllen ISD Superintendent Dr. J.A. Gonzalez says one of the goals is to have a tiny forest at every campus in the district.
We're thrilled. We have a tremendous partnership with the city of McAllen, with Quito McAllen. It's just going to take our educational program to the next level. So we're already a high-performing school district because we have great partnerships with the city, but this tiny forest is just going to take us to a whole different level.